Hey VC, what's up? It's me, yours truly. I am back to post a really quick video here. Um, got a message from AJ. He had just put up a new thread, and it's kind of a big one, so I wanted to kind of jump in on it. Um, Anyone else that might have the inkling to want to do a thread at the moment, this is kind of a cool one, a simple one to go to as well. So go to his channel. It's Aug71. That's AJ's channel. And it's one I definitely want to acknowledge too, because he's kind of doing this in conjunction with, I guess, the fact he's getting ready to graduate in the next day or two. I mean, that's always a huge thing. So congratulations, man, for getting that diploma, walking across that aisle. That's huge. So his thread was basically, what did he title it? Let me look over here. I think it was like about like high school albums. I guess, so I kind of took it in the sense of stuff that you were kind of listening to and jamming in high school that kind of marked those years and all that good stuff. So it took a little bit of thinking too, because there's stuff that I've always loved since the 80s and listened to on through, but I try to think about like what were the things that I actually discovered in high school that specifically came out during that time period, and not just everything that I was listening to back then. So this is what I came up with, kind of a quick list. And as you'll see pretty quick, my high school years were definitely my hip-hop slash hair metal type of years for me. That's what I really discovered during that time period. So one album, which was playing in the background right now, which is freaking awesome, definitely my favorite album by them. I mean, you always got to give credit to Paid in Full, which was just an absolute classic hip-hop album. But Eric B. and Rakim, Follow the Leader. Ooh, we used to play the heck out of this in high school. Awesome stuff. Just one of those MCs that just has a voice that's just so unique. It's awesome. That's what's playing in the background right now. Another one too, this is one of those trunk bumpers that we used to just, disturb everybody we could driving through neighborhoods. But Call Me D Nice by D Nice. This is the 12-inch single. Love this stuff. We'd love to get, I don't know if they even have the full 12-inch studio album, but anyway, I need to get my hands on that at some point in time. But yeah, Call Me D Nice, man, played the heck out of that song. That song and the TO808, which was on that same album. Another one too, this was my junior year, I think, when this really came out. NWA 100 Miles and Running. This is 1990, and so, as most people that maybe kind of grew up during that time period, from about right at the beginning of 1990s and kind of out is when the whole quote-unquote gangster rap, again, I've said a million times, I hate that term, but people understand what you're talking about when you say that. But it was right at about 1990, mid to late 1990s, and then 91 on is when all of that kind of really came to the scene. And this was really one of the first albums, I think, that was extremely popular in that particular category, which is NWA's 100 Miles and Running. I mean, Straight Outta Compton, I think, was really the first album that really brought it, the gangster rap thing to the scene, but this was kind of the follow-up. So, yeah, and of course it has a song, Just Don't Bite It, which is the one that we played over and over a million freaking times in our $800 cars with $2,000 stereo systems in the back. Another one that I played a lot in high school, that's when Tone Loc was pretty big. I mean, this is 1989, I think, when this came out. And, we may look back on it now and kind of laugh like a lot of things, but when Tone Loc first came out, I mean, Funky Cole Medina and Wild Thing was everywhere. Everywhere. High school was also when I first discovered Iron Maiden. I think my freshman year in high school. That's not when this came out, but it's when I first discovered. This came out like '86. I wasn't in high school then. But I first discovered Iron Maiden in high school, so this is definitely kind of one of the albums that really marks my venture from just the popish hair metal MTV 1000 rotation type stuff like Poison and White Snake and all of that. Somewhere in Time was the first album that started taking me towards the whole, British heavy metal and all that stuff. Here's another one that really kind of marks my high school years. This came out in 1987. So that was around my freshman year in high school. And I remember I had this cassette, and we were in art class, and our teacher used to play music. And the big thing back then was to we had Walkmans all the time. You know, so everyone was like walking around the school with their Walkmans and on the bus ride home and everything. Well, one day he let us put tapes in, and so I put in Appetite for Destruction, and there was a lot of people that had not heard that album before, and it just kind of blew a lot of people's minds. And you know, I'll never forget, I was like, you know, I kind of brought Appetite for Destruction to my art class. So that's what it definitely kind of marks my high school years. Same thing here. I discovered Led Zeppelin. Almost technically, this might be junior high when I actually discovered Led Zeppelin. But Led Zeppelin 4 was the first album that I ever, you know, discovered by them, and of course I played the heck out of it. I would give anything to be able to hear it now the same way I heard it back then, because I have such a hard time listening to this album now. But that's definitely one of marks my high school years. That was also when I first met AC/DC. Again, this came out in 1986, but going through high school, this is the AC/DC album that really kind of introduced me to the group, which I guess this was the kind of the soundtrack to Maximum Overdrive. But yeah, you know, Who Made Who, You Shook Me All Night Long, DT, Hell's Bells, Shake Your Foundations, all that stuff. This was my intro to AC/DC in high school. And probably the one rock album that I played more than any other album throughout all of high school was Van Halen's 5150. Man, I wore the heck out of this tape. Oh my goodness. That tape never left my car, I swear. Yes, it's from a rock and roll perspective. It really is probably safe to say I played this album more than any other album rock-wise in high school. Especially the song like Summer Nights. Loved it. Dawkin, this is another one. My friend Matt next door, he used to live next door to me, and he used to play this album non-stop, and it just so grew on me. Especially that intro to Kiss of Death, one of the best starts to an album ever. Now again, you know, in high school, all about the beats in the trunk. I was much more into the hip-hop scene, a heck of a lot more than I'm into it today, because today it's nothing like what I'm about to show you here. My sophomore, junior year in high school, this was a huge album, which was X-Clan, To the East Blackwards. We played the heck out of this song, out of this album. For those that maybe don't know the album, a lot of the popular beats back then from different popular songs, this was just basically one big sample from front to back with different lyrics put on top of it. Matter of fact, the song you listen to right now, Microphone Fiend, off of Eric B. and Rakim, there's a note-for-note sample of that on this album too. So yeah, we love this one back in high school. Just like this one too. I think one of the best hip-hop albums of all time. The DOC. Definitely played the heck out of this too. This never left the car. Awesome, awesome album. I mean, literally in my opinion, one of the top 10, if not maybe top 10 or 15 hip-hop albums of all time. Along with this one right here. Now I think it's safe to say I probably played this album from a hip-hop perspective more than any other album throughout high school. Definitely one of my top 5 hip-hop albums of all time, which is EPMD, Strictly Business, their debut release. Just funky, funky stuff, forward and back. So, great piece there. And the bass bumper of all bass bumpers is so funny too, because I was going to work today, and as I was walking across the street, this guy was parallel parking his SUV. It was a Suburban, and I heard this album playing in the background. I just could not help but smile. I was like, oh, it's so nice to hear somebody still bumping that stuff to this day. And this is what I was bumping back in high school. Too Short. Life is Too Short. It did not get any better than Short Dog back in the day. I'm telling you. Between this and Short Dogs in the House and the Ghetto, I mean, just all kinds of great stuff. But again, Too Short was just one of those amp busters. I mean, if you went cruising on the boulevard any given night, you had a Too Short cassette in your car. You had to. I mean, it's just, and definitely one of my favorite MCs of all time as well. I mean, the dude is just so unique, has his own style, never compromised it just to make more sales and that type of thing. I mean, there's just something extremely real about him, which I love to death. But yeah, played the heck out of that album. So those are the ones that I feel like kind of really defined my high school years, because again, there was so much stuff that I played. I could have easily thrown Public Enemy's It Takes a Nation, a Million to Hold Us Back, because that was another one that really came about in that time. A lot of Cool Mo D, LL Cool J's Bigger and Deffer. I mean, that was one that was huge. That was probably more junior high, though. Yeah, I was really into the hip hop stuff back then. The Fat Boys, Run DMC, Curtis Blow, you know, just kind of all of that. But again, these are the specific albums that really stand out, that got a lot of play, that I was introduced to during my high school years. Of course, during that same time period, I was really into still all the 80s new wave stuff. I mean, that never went out. You know, stuff like, when I talk about the new wave stuff, but just more 80s stuff like, you know, Phil Collins and, you know, Tiffany, Debbie Gibson, the Go-Go's, all of that, just 80s stuff, man. I've always listened to that, but I was kind of into that stuff before high school. So anyway, there you go, man. Again, congratulations on graduating. Hope you enjoyed the video. As always, let me know what you think, and we'll talk to you soon. All right, take care, guys.